Yes, my G's, we've got to have a little bit of fun on a Sunday, talk about sub bass and a little funky beat going on like this, you know. Anyway, so I wanted to give you a few tips on sub bass today. 3 kind of tips actually. A little bit of a tip how you can fix any clicks that are going on. A little tip on where you should aim for your volume of your sub, and another little tip on just on sort of side chaining to your kick and making sure there's space in the track for the sub, you know. So cheeky little beat we got here. We got our sub bass down here. We got our little Rhodes, and we got a drum beat. And this bottom channel down here is used for the side chain only. So let's first talk about the sub bass, right? And we want to talk about the clicks as well. So you can use like whatever synth you want. You might get slightly different sound quality depending on what synth. If you go for something like Serum, you know, it's going to be pretty good quality. But you can, you know, the Vital one's also pretty good. I use that sometimes. Anyway, when you've like got a nice short and tight sub, basically with this loop, I kind of just had this. I just threw in this Rhodes loop with this drum beat, right? But it didn't have any sub bass in underneath, so I wanted to layer in a sub under it, right? So I basically copied the Rhodes sort of melody, sort of by ear, really. It was not too complicated. It goes from A. What I actually did, I have to show you this as well. It's actually important as well. So it actually goes sort of. Oh no, actually, yeah, that goes up, and then these guys go up as well. So it actually sort of goes, yeah, that should be over there. Dum 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 dum. Right, so it kind of goes like A, C, E, you know, G, and then A, and then back down again. All right, but because the sub is in a particular octave range, I didn't even think I was going to talk about this topic on this video now, but now I have to. That bottom A sits in the octave range of where the sub should be, but then because the melody goes up to C and then up to the whole next octave range, it doesn't really work in that high range. So that's why I brought it all down. So the notes are the same, but I've used the lower octave notes for that part of the melody. Yeah, pretty much all of it apart from the A. You know, so in the Rhodes it all goes up, but in the sub it'll actually go down. But it, you know, the notes are the same. The octave just drops, but that keeps the sub always in the right octave range. You know, in this sort of area. You know, between 30 and 60 or something like that. You know, so it's all in the right range, right? But the problem is it's clicking as well, right? It's quite like fast little notes, especially because I've sort of done them, you know, following the Rhodes, and the Rhodes is quite quick. So you got all these little clicks, and to get rid of them, basically you would have to take the attack and the attack all the way up, and the release up a lot as well. But then it can kind of like sometimes be too soft, like you lose a bit of the punch of the sub. Sometimes, you know, you might not want to do that. So basically, if you take it back round, leave the clicks on. What is a click? Like essentially, it's actually a high-end thing, you know? And if you just have a sub bass and there's no other part to the bass, then you have the luxury of just EQing it out, you know? So basically, just EQ'd out the click, and then you've still got all the sub bass, and it's nice and fast and punchy, but you haven't got all the high-end in it, and you've got rid of the click completely, you know? Just high-cutting it around 120 or so. I've only got one oscillator doing the sub bass, so that's all I need down there, you know? So that's solved the problem with the click already, you know, so that's done. Then let's play our beat again with the sub. So we want to aim for a good level of the sub as well, and you can just adjust it in Serum if you need to, just the volume down here, you know. I'll just put it up to 100%, and then I adjust it a bit later on a clipper as well, right? But basically, I'm always aiming for this range between -36 and -30 in span. And I've mentioned this on 100 videos before, so it's nothing new here. All right, so if it's a little bit down there, that's fine. If it's a little bit above, it's fine as well. You've got to do the rest by ear. It's just a gauge, like to sort of get you in the right ballpark, you know. Once you're in that ballpark, then you've got to sort of figure out how much sub you want in this track, you know, depending on how much headroom you've got and all the other elements, you know. But that's the sort of range you want to look for. Okay. So once you've got that sort of range in mind, then we can do some things like we can sort of sidechain it to the kick, right? What happens when we sidechain it to the kick is we're going to be lowering the volume every time the kick hits, you know? And what that's going to do is, like, in the grand scheme of things, you're going to have like less volume on your sub overall, you know? So you can actually compensate for that by reboosting it again. So it's actually this balance always of not only sidechaining it to the kick like well, so the kick comes through, but then seeing how that translates into the sort of overall volume of the sub as a whole in the track. And then you need to then sometimes bring the volume of the sub back up, like I have here on the clipper. You know, it goes into the clipper anyway. I just put that on there out of habit. It doesn't actually go above 0 anyway, so the clipper's not really, you know, being activated. But I'll put it in there, and I can just use it as a gain, you know, to boost the gain as well. So anyway, when it comes to sidechaining it to the kick, right? I love using the F6, as you just saw, and because my drum. Normally I'd have a drum group with the kick as a one shot separately, but because I don't have that here, I've just used a break. I've just separated the kick out and put the kick, you know, duplicated it over onto a new channel. So we've got this like ghost kick channel, and basically it's not a ghost kick, it's just a muted kick, sidechain input, right? So the output here, down here, you set the output to no output, right? And then there's no output going from the kick, and then you basically got just this free channel you can use to use as the input on the F6, right? So on the input, select that channel, the audio 3 it was. And yeah, this is just a nice quality sidechain plugin. It's great because you can do multi-band. Here with the sub, it's not so important that I'm doing multi-band because I'm just taking all of it down anyway. It's only got content down from 0 up to 70 or something anyway, you know? So I'm just making sure I'm taking most of that out, you know, with this band here, with a low shelf. And yeah, we just adjust it by ear, you know? So got the range all the way down, got the release sort of around 100 or so. That's a good rough length for a kick drum. You know, you can kind of watch it anyway and see like how long it'll stay down for. And then the threshold, sort of tweak that a bit and just get it right kind of by ear, you know? So it doesn't have to be perfect the first time. You can come back to it later if you want, but if you sort of make sure you give that kick a little bit of room, it's not a super conflicting thing here in this case. So a little 14 dB kind of thing is great, you know? It kind of works well. So then, yeah, then as I said, you got the chance to boost it again. I've already done it here, but you can also look like, you know, it's good to like really boost it high and just see, you know, where that distortion point happens, you know. So at 9, it's clearly distorting, you know, you can see, you know, it's really above that range that I usually aim for. But if I bring it back down and sort of listen, even nice at a sort of 3.5 dB boost there, it's sitting in my nice range and it sounds clean to me on these headphones. So that's pretty nice amount of volume there. That's a good sort of basic standard for the track then, for the low end, you know. You kind of set yourself up for the rest of the Mixdown then, haven't you? You know, so then one more thing then, if we were to add in the Rhodes, for example, again here. Although the Rhodes doesn't have any sub in, if you take a look at it, there's a lot of content down here, all this rumble, and it's just going to get in the way. So I'll just EQ it out smoothly in kind of 2 stages. A 60 hertz cut, and then another one sort of a little bit higher. Just to go over it, you know, nice and smoothly, and then you've got You know, there's still a little bit in there, but you kind of taken most of it out, right? It says a lot better than it was before. You know, it's quite a big bump there. That's sort of gone now, you know. It's kind of a lot better than it was before. So you could go over it one more time or so if I wanted to, but it kind of, you got to just listen in the mix and kind of see, and it kind of sounds fine, you know. So if it ain't too broke, then don't try to fix it. But yeah, that's basically another little thing. Is just you've got to remember that it's only the kick drum that should really be, you know, coming through in that sub range area, you know, instead of the sub, you know. So anything else, you just got to take the low end out, you know. You got to just take all the low end out to get, you know, you can't have anything else interfering with the sub, especially in that range, you know. In that sort of 0 to 70 hertz range or whatever, you don't want anything else in there. It's only the kick that interrupts it, but nothing else in the track should ever do that, you know. So just, you know, you can always just EQ out all of the low end from everything else pretty much, you know. So yeah, make sure you've checked always, and just if you're not sure, just group up all of your sounds and do an EQ cut on all of your groups that aren't including the sub bass, you know. And obviously don't do it on the drum group because you've got your kick in there, but everything else, you know. So make sure you check there's no rumbling anywhere that's going to interfere with the sub, because it's pure sine wave. It needs like space to come through properly. So it's got to come through everything like clean, you know. So it's very important. But there you go. It's wonderful. It's a wonderful thing, isn't it? So just a couple of sort of sub mixing and sub sound design tips today. I mean, there's not really sound design. I'm just sort of telling you how to get rid of clicks if you're just doing like this. And remember here, I'm just using a sub, you know, as it is, like just the sub to fill in the bottom frequency, you know. If you're talking about, you know, a sub with harmonics, a sort of a bass with more of a mid-range, you know, even if it's a little bit, you know, that's for a different video. That's for a different story. Here, I'm just talking about when you just need only the sub underneath, which kind of works here, because the Rhodes actually fills out all the bass in that sort of area around 100. So it's only the sub area that was kind of missing, you know. That's why I put just a single sub under it. But if you're working on other tracks and you're missing that 100 hertz to 300 hertz, whatever low mid range, then, you know, you need to be thinking about, you know, where you're going to get that bass from, you know. In this case, it's already in the Rhodes, so I'm kind of sweet on this one, you know. But anyway, that's it for today. So yeah, I hope you guys have a lovely Sunday. Much love, much respect. Thanks to everyone for supporting me on the channel. Leave a comment and a like down below as well if this helped you. And check out the links in my video descriptions as well. I've got one-on-one production lessons available, mixing and mastering services. You can email me for that as well. And preset packs for Serum, Vital, Faceplant and Current on my website. And come along and join me on Patreon. I drop some free downloads on there occasionally. You can join as a free member, and then later, if you want to upgrade, you can get in my private Discord where we have our group chat and our feedback live streams and much more. All right, that's it from me today. More from me very soon. Much love.